everybody, it's Carrie with Seed to Spoon. So it is mid-November and we have just had our first freeze in our garden. So I thought now would be a really good time to go through and show you how everything is doing after our first freeze and everything that we have growing right now. So over here we have our cattle panel arch trellis, which is my favorite way to trellis everything. So over here we have our long beds right here going up against these trellises, and this is one of my favorite ways to use these long beds. And if you've never seen these before, they are super great. They have different divider sections, so you can plant different things either up against a fence, a house, a trellis like we use. It works really great. And actually, it is still November. We are giving away a free 6-foot long bed. So if you haven't done that yet, make sure you check out that video. I'll include the link down below for all the details and directions on how to go about entering that. And thank you so much to Smart Pots for sponsoring this month's giveaway. So in these long beds, I have a mixture of a bunch of different greens. So I have some lettuce, kale, spinach, and then I kind of just went along, and that's going in the front of each of these. And then along the back, if you can see these, we have some peas growing up the trellis. So I really like doing this because you have a variety of things, and then the peas will arch their way or go up the arch, and it'll be so pretty once it all fills in. So we'll have peas growing up this arch and then the greens right here in front. And one of my favorite things to do is to have hanging baskets of flowers up above. Not only it looks beautiful, but it also helps to attract in some beneficials. So we get a lot of pollinators just coming in to visit these, and then they're like, ooh, maybe I'll stop by and pollinate the things below it too. So it works out great. And as you can see, most everything over here is doing really well, and all of this was left uncovered during our first freeze that we had. So our kale, our lettuce, our spinach, it's all doing great. But there are some things intermixed throughout here that did not do great, that died during the frost, and those were just some things that I didn't even plant. They were just seeded in from the summer. So we had like some beans and tomatoes and stuff like that were trying to go. And then those died, and then some of our flowers are struggling a little bit, but for the most part, everything hung in pretty well over here. So over here we have our garlic bed, or one of our garlic beds at least. We have 2 of them planted. This was the first one that we planted, standard garlic. We planted this with square foot gardening, and it was pretty dense, as you can see, so I'm very excited. Fall is the best time to plant garlic because you want them to have a freeze, and that way, the tops will die, but that's fine. In the spring, it'll come back up with a vengeance, and you will have beautiful, amazing garlic harvest. And as long as your ground isn't frozen, it is not too late to plant garlic. So garlic is one of those things that you can keep growing and keep planting as long as the ground is not frozen. I actually made a video about this last month. I'll post a link below so you can check that out too. So over here we have one of my favorite big bag bed Smart Pots. This one has a lot of my favorite greens. So if you can see, I love Swiss chard. So these are the Bright Lights Swiss chard varieties. So we have a bunch of different colors in here. It's so pretty. I love it. So then we have a bunch of Swiss chard in here. We have a couple different mustard plants, and then we have a cabbage in the middle as well. Did cover this bed during our freeze just because this is my favorite bed and I wanted to make sure it was okay. But we also went through and mulched down here around the base of the plants and in this bed, and we just mulched with some wood chips, so that way whenever those break down, it'll help boost up the soil as well. I made a video whenever I went through and mulched everything, all about mulching and why it's important and how to do it and all of that. I'll put the link below. And then over here we have another big bag bed Smart Pot that we planted. I don't know, there was sometime this fall. I had a video whenever I did it, because this was our big companion planting one. We planted a lot of different herbs all surrounding this cabbage plant to try and protect the cabbage, and a bunch of our different favorite herbs over here. So this is a great bed too. I love this one. And then over here we have another 100-gallon big bag bed Smart Pot. And over here is a garden bed that I made of a bunch of different plants together that are all really good friends and companions to each other. So I planted a bunch of beets over here, and then some lettuce, and then a cabbage in the middle. So whenever I went about planting this bed, I just looked up in our app. If you're not aware of our free app, make sure you check that out. But there's a section in there for companion planting. So I knew I wanted to plant some beets. So I looked in the app and I found where beets were, and then I searched on there. I was like, what's a good companion? And then I found that lettuce was really good, and then cabbage was really good too, and they're all friends, so yeah. So over here we have a couple different beds that we planted super dense of microgreens. So these are our fall microgreens of kale. So we have two different beds of kale that we have, two different varieties. And as you can see down here, we've been harvesting quite a bit of kale and eating that. I mean, we eat it in a lot of different things. I've been posting a lot of videos for recipes too, so I will include those links too, but I use a lot of this in cooking. It's so good, especially at this stage. It tastes amazing. Over here we have, as you can see, one of our most popular beds. This is actually the kids' favorite plant right now that we are growing. I have a video that they decided to come in here and test every single plant that they could. They wanted to test everything out and tell me which one was their favorite. And this one was their favorite. This is some broccoli. So we are using this as sprouting microgreen broccoli. So we're harvesting it as an early age and eating the leaves. And I've been putting this in a lot of different recipes. So like the kids' mac and cheese, they love it. I put a bunch of this in it, as well as a soup that I make. I'll include all those recipes down below, but this is one that's very popular that we eat a lot of. Over here I have more of our, these are our big bag bed juniors. So these are 50 gallons. So they're about half the size of these ones over here. But we did a bunch of square foot gardening over here. So we have our square foot gardening of spinach, and then one of kale, and then one of lettuce over here. So a couple different varieties of lettuce. So these ones I used the seeding square whenever I planted them. And this is super helpful if you've never seen these before. They make square foot gardening so much simpler. Whenever you lay this down, you can visually see where to put the seeds, and our app makes it easy too. It says exactly how many seeds or how many per square you should do. So these are amazing. If you haven't checked these out, make sure you do. We actually sell them at our store at store.seedtospoon.net. And if you've noticed, we have a lot of these PVC greenhouse domes around a lot of our different beds over here. And these help whenever we get our cold weather or any severe weather. We put plastic sheeting over top of these, and it just helps protect the plants either from the extreme cold, or if we have like an ice storm or something along those lines coming in, it helps to protect the plants more against that. And if we were to get like any severe storms like hail, we could also cover these. It just makes it a lot easier, especially here in Oklahoma. We have a lot of severe weather, and the weather is so unpredictable. So it's nice to be able to, throw something over top of our plants real quick and make it easy as well. And having all of these raised beds, like especially with the smaller smart pots, it makes it easy just to pick them up and take them like into the garage or under the porch or inside even on nights that we have severe weather or really cold and we want to protect that plant. So being able to move them is a huge benefit. So we love smart pots for that reason as well. So we also have a fence around this garden, as you can see in the background. Whenever we first planted, we made the mistake of not having that around it, and we had a lot of critter issues because we are out here in the country. And we also have chickens. So our chickens came through, they wanted to eat all of the seeds. We had wild birds, we had raccoons in here. Yeah, it was a mess. So we got this fencing and it has worked wonders. So this is a Premier One electric netting. This is a poultry one we got, so it helps to keep our chickens out also. and it has worked amazing. So it does have we have a solar charger to it that connects it, and it gives it just a low charge, a little electricity, just enough to like scare an animal, but like it wouldn't hurt you and me. Like I would touch it and it's just like a shock, you know, dry air. But it's enough that it keeps everybody out of the garden and helps protect our food. So it has worked wonders for us. And that's about all that we have growing right now, for our fall garden at least. We have separate areas over there, but this is where we focus our, you know, our fall area, so that way it's closer to the house. One of the biggest questions we get is how long it takes us to keep up with all of this. So really, I mean, planting it was not all that difficult. I have videos to, you know, whenever we planted each one of these beds, I posted a video about it and showed me planting most of it. So you can see how long it really took. And then coming out here, you know, maybe thinning down over here with a square foot gardening. I mean, I did that like once and it took maybe like 10 minutes. And then watering is really the only other thing that we do. Most everything we just water by doing sprinklers overhead. We do water a few things from hand, especially if we have like seeds in the ground. It makes it a little bit more time consuming, but it's really not that hard to keep up with. If you are interested more about hearing our watering methods, I do have a video about that, and I will link to that below. I mean, really the biggest thing that we've spent time on this season is just getting these plastic sheeting tarps over these beds and taking them back off, folding them up and putting them up. We've been keeping them in these totes in the background, or in the back over here. So that's really the most time consuming out of everything, is just to protect it from the severe weather, any, you know, frosts and things like that. But even then, like, I think it took us maybe like 15 minutes to do, we had like 5 or 6 of these covered up, and that was about it. And even if you didn't want to go about doing all of that and take the time to cover things, I mean, as you can see, the plants over here did really good for our first freeze. And I mean, we got pretty cold. What temperature did we get to? 28? I think it was supposed to be around 28. So, and these plants all did pretty well. So just because it's cold out, you can still have plants going out and you don't have to worry too much about a lot of them. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about anything that we've done or built in here, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them either in the comment section or make a separate video about it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.